Rich black businessman mocked by bike dealership workers. They had no idea he's the owner. Darren stepped out of his sleek black car, his tailored suit catching the sunlight as he adjusted his tie. It was one of those rare afternoons when he had some time to himself. Despite being a successful entrepreneur and owner of a chain of high-end dealerships, Darren had a penchant for motorcycles. Today, he decided to visit a renowned bike dealership in town that he had recently acquired, but hadn't yet introduced himself to the staff. He wanted to see how things were running before making his presence known. As Darren walked through the entrance, the energy in the showroom shifted. The gleaming motorcycles stood on display like trophies, but what caught Darren's attention was the sidelong glances and barely concealed smirks from the staff. A young salesman, Alex, in his mid-20s with a smug demeanor, approached him. "Hey man, you lost or something? These bikes are pretty expensive," Alex said with a grin that barely masked his condescension. Darren's face remained calm. "I'm just looking around for now," he replied, his tone steady. Alex chuckled and looked him up and down. "Sure thing, buddy. But, just so you know, these aren't the kind of bikes you see on the streets. Top-tier stuff. Maybe start with the used section over there." He gestured dismissively to a corner where a few older models were stacked together. Darren nodded politely, deciding to explore on his own. As he walked around, he overheard whispers from other employees. "Does he even know the price tags here? Bet he's just here to kill time, no way he's buying anything." Darren took it all in, observing not just their behavior toward him, but also how they interacted with other customers. He noticed a middle-aged couple struggling to get anyone's attention, while the staff lounged around, scrolling through their phones or chatting among themselves. When Darren approached the front desk to ask a question, the receptionist barely looked up. "Someone will be with you," she muttered, then went back to typing on her computer. Darren decided to test the waters further. "I'm interested in the MV Agusta Superveloce. Can you tell me more about it?" Alex, who had been watching him from afar, strolled over with a smirk. "The Superveloce? That's a premium bike. Handcrafted Italian design, costs as much as some people's houses. You sure you're looking at the right model?" His tone was laced with sarcasm. "Is it available for a test ride?" Darren asked, ignoring the tone. Alex laughed, loud enough to draw the attention of the other employees. "Test rides aren't free, my guy. You'd need to put down a deposit first. But, let's be real, maybe this isn't your scene. We've got some lower-tier bikes in the back. Could be more your speed." At this point, Darren was less annoyed and more intrigued. The arrogance, the lack of professionalism, the dismissive attitudes, it all painted a picture of a poorly managed team. He wondered how many genuine customers had been turned away by such behavior. Darren decided it was time to make things interesting. "You know, I've actually been in the market for a while. How about this? I'll pay cash for the Superveloce right now if you can process the paperwork quickly." Alex blinked, his smirk faltering for the first time. "Wait, you're serious?" Darren nodded. "Completely." Alex's demeanor changed in an instant. The arrogance was replaced by eagerness, but it was clear he still didn't take Darren seriously. "All right, let me just check with the manager." As Alex rushed off, Darren leaned against a nearby display, observing the chaos unfolding. The manager, a stout man in his early 50s, came out, his expression skeptical as he approached. "Sir, I understand you're interested in the Superveloce?" he asked, his tone polite but strained. "That's right," Darren replied. "Well, it's not every day someone walks in and offers cash for a bike like that. We'd need to see some proof of funds." Darren raised an eyebrow, but didn't argue. Instead, he pulled out his phone, logged into his banking app, and showed them his account balance. The manager's eyes widened as he stammered, Right, of course. Let's get the paperwork started." The mood in the showroom shifted again, this time to a mix of confusion and disbelief. The same employees who had been mocking Darren earlier now scurried to assist him, their smiles forced and their tones overly friendly. As they finalized the paperwork, Darren decided to drop the final twist. "By the way," he said casually, I've been meaning to introduce myself. I'm Darren Michaels, the new owner of this dealership. The room went silent. The manager froze mid-signature, and Alex's face turned ashen. Darren continued, I bought this place a month ago, decided to keep a low profile to see how things were running. Safe to say, I've seen enough today. The staff exchanged nervous glances, their earlier arrogance replaced by sheer panic. Darren's calm demeanor only made the tension worse. You see, he said, I believe in building businesses where every customer is treated with respect, regardless of how they look or where they come from. What I've seen here today is unacceptable. He turned to the manager. We'll have a proper meeting tomorrow to discuss some changes. For now, I'll take the super veloce and leave you all to think about how you represent this brand. With that, Darren walked out, his new motorcycle gleaming in the sunlight as he rode off. Darren's departure left the dealership in stunned silence. The staff stood frozen, grappling with the realization of what had just happened. Alex, who had been the most dismissive of all, slumped into a chair, his mind racing. The manager, still holding the paperwork Darren had signed, rubbed his temples as the weight of the situation sank in. The next morning, Darren arrived at the dealership earlier than usual. This time, he was dressed in business casual attire, his presence commanding but approachable. He walked in with a purpose, the same calm yet observant demeanor he had the day before. The employees straightened up instantly, their nervous energy filling the room. Darren gathered the entire staff in the meeting room. The air was thick with anticipation, and no one dared to speak. He began by addressing the manager. Mr. Green, Darren said, his tone firm but not unkind. You've been with this dealership for years. You know the ins and outs of the business, yet yesterday's experience tells me there's a serious lack of leadership here. How do you explain the behavior I witnessed? Mr. Green hesitated, his face reddening. I take full responsibility, Mr. Michaels. I should have trained the staff better, ensured they understood the importance of customer service. I'll fix it, I promise. Darren nodded but didn't let him off the hook. Promises are good, but actions are better. We'll discuss your role further after I address the rest of the team. He turned to the employees, his gaze steady. Yesterday I walked in as a customer, not just any customer, but one who could have been your most significant sale of the day or month. Instead of being treated with respect, I was judged, mocked, and dismissed. Why? Because of how I look? Because you assumed I didn't belong here? The room was silent. Some of the employees looked down at their hands, others shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Let me tell you something, Darren continued. I've been in your shoes. I've worked jobs where I had to smile through frustration, deal with difficult customers, and hit sales targets that seemed impossible. But one thing I never did was judge someone based on their appearance. Respect is non-negotiable, and it's the foundation of any successful business. He paused, letting his words sink in. Here's what's going to happen. Starting today, this dealership will operate differently. I'll be implementing mandatory training sessions on customer service and diversity awareness. These sessions aren't optional, and anyone who fails to comply will no longer have a place here. Alex, sitting at the back of the room, raised his hand hesitantly. Mr. Michaels, I just want to say I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to offend you. I just made a mistake. Darren's expression softened slightly, but his voice remained firm. I appreciate the apology, Alex, but it's not about me. It's about every customer who's walked through that door and left feeling disrespected or unwelcome. Mistakes happen, but it's how we learn from them that matters. Are you willing to learn? Alex nodded vigorously. Yes, sir. I'll do whatever it takes. Darren turned back to the group. This isn't just about keeping your jobs. It's about creating a space where everyone feels valued, customers and employees alike. A successful dealership doesn't thrive on sales alone. It thrives on trust, reputation, and the relationships we build with our community. He glanced at Mr. Green. I'll be working closely with you to ensure these changes are implemented effectively. Consider this a fresh start for all of us. Over the next few weeks, Darren made good on his promise. He brought in professional trainers to conduct workshops on communication, empathy, and bias. He introduced a system to track customer feedback and incentivized employees who went above and beyond in their service. Slowly but surely, the culture of the dealership began to shift. One day, a young man wearing worn-out clothes walked into the showroom. The staff, now trained and more mindful, greeted him warmly. Alex, who had taken Darren's lessons to heart, approached the man with genuine enthusiasm. "Welcome, how can I help you today?" The man hesitated, clearly unsure if he belonged there. "I'm just looking, but I'm not sure if I can afford anything here." Alex smiled. "That's okay, let me show you around. We have options for everyone, and if nothing feels right today, we can always work something out later." Darren, watching from his office, felt a sense of pride. The transformation wasn't just about fixing a broken system, it was about proving that change was possible. The dealership soon became known for its exceptional service and welcoming atmosphere. Sales soared, not just because of the quality of the bikes, but because of the trust they built with their customers. One evening, as Darren locked up for the day, Alex approached him. "Mr. Michaels, I just wanted to thank you for giving us another chance, for giving me another chance. I've learned more in these past few weeks than I ever thought I would." Darren smiled. "That's all I ever wanted, for everyone here to grow and succeed. Just remember, respect and kindness don't cost a thing, but they're worth everything." True success isn't measured by money or status. It's measured by the respect and integrity you bring to every interaction. Judging others based on appearances not only limits them, but also limits the growth of your own character.